Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into a really fascinating and honestly pretty contentious period in American governance, Supreme Court nominations.
Yeah, specifically, we're looking at sources detailing this major clash between the president and the Senate over appointments. That whole idea of advice and consent really came to the forefront.
Exactly. And our mission for you listening is to sort of unpack the strategies, the constitutional arguments, and really the long-term fallout from these events.
It's a time that definitely shifted some things around. Our deep dive kicks off, I think, on February 13th, 2016.
Yeah.
That's when Justice Antonin Scalia unexpectedly passed away.
Right, creating that immediate vacancy on the court. Now, President Obama, acting on his constitutional duty, as our sources lay out, nominated Merrick Garland. Seems straightforward enough, but things got complicated fast, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. What's striking, and you see this reflected in the scholarly sources we looked at, is how quickly the obstruction started. We're talking hours, really, after Scalia's death.
Hours. Wow.
Yeah. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell basically announced the Senate just wouldn't consider any nominee from President Obama. Full stop.
And the justification?
The reasoning given was, well, it was an election year. They essentially labeled Obama a lame duck president, implying his mandate was running out. McConnell argued the next president should make the choice.
So this whole thing hinged on interpreting Article 2, Section 2, the part about the president nominating judges with the Senate's advice and consent. How is McConnell's read on that different?
Well, traditionally, advice and consent meant, looking at the nominee's qualifications, holding hearings, debating, that kind of thing.
The actual process of considering the person?
Exactly. But McConnell's interpretation, as our sources frame it, was more about timing and control. He asserted the Senate had the right to simply withhold consent by refusing even to start the process, denying consideration altogether.
Which led to what happened with Garland.
Right. The Senate Judiciary Committee, led by Republicans at the time, held 0 hearings, no vote, nothing. Garland's nomination just expired on January 3rd, 2017. Our sources consistently call this highly unprecedented.
And this unprecedented block definitely stirred things up. We found sources highlighting a pretty sharp letter from some progressive legal scholars to Obama and the Senate.
Yeah, that was significant. They argued, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, that the way the framers set up the nomination process, well, it just doesn't allow for one side to flat out refuse to even consider a nominee.
They didn't just say it was unusual, they called it what?
They called it dangerous. I mean, that's strong language, underscoring how seriously they viewed this departure from established norms.
So Garland never got confirmed. And this whole fight, it became a huge political issue, right? Especially heading into the 2016 election.
Absolutely. It really energized bases on both sides and was a major point of contention throughout that election cycle.
And then, of course, Donald Trump won in 2016. That victory meant Scalia's seat would be filled by a conservative, Neil Gorsuch, not Garland. Trump appointed others, too. But then the situation kind of flipped, didn't it? Fast forward to 2020.
Right, a sharp turn in reverse, you could say. In the late summer of 2020, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. Another vacancy, but this time much closer to the election.
And what happened then?
Well, despite it also being an election year, even closer to the election than when Garland was nominated, Mitch McConnell and the Senate moved incredibly fast.
No waiting for the next president this time.
No. President Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett, and the Senate confirmed her very quickly, just before the 2020 election.
The contrast is pretty stark.
It is, and our sources suggest this wasn't just about filling a seat. It arguably set a new precedent, or at least changed the political calculus for handling vacancies in election years. The Garland precedent was effectively discarded.
So the fallout from these clashes over the court, it's undeniable. The current makeup of the Supreme Court is a direct result of these battles, these strategic moves, these reinterpretations of constitutional roles. And it's going to affect the country for a long time.
Years, potentially generations. Yeah.
Which really leaves us and you, the listener, with something to think about, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, when you see the Garland situation, this unprecedented block, and then the Barrett confirmation under similar timing circumstances, but with a totally opposite approach,
yeah,
it makes you wonder, how will political strategy and these interpretations of constitutional duty continue to shape the court? And, the overall balance of power down the road is definitely something worth mulling over.